Welcome to the Wolverine Digest podcast, the best spot for objective and authentic coverage of Michigan athletics. If you want open dialogue, honest opinions, and in-depth coverage of the maize and blue, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's your host, Brandon Brown, joined as always by Chris Breiler.
I just want to start by saying go blue.
Well. Chris Breiler and Brandon Brown on a Saturday. Feeling good, feeling great. Chris is just up from a nap. I just ate 2 pounds of salad. I don't know. It was a big one. Chris, though, he did it big.
I took in some carbs this afternoon. I'm not going to lie. I took in a few carbs this afternoon. My mom hit me up yesterday. She's like, I want to go to Olive Garden. And I said, okay, well, we'll go to Olive Garden. So we did today. And I got myself a piece of lasagna, but I also had some breadsticks. I also had some Super Toscana, I believe that's what they call it. About 6 or 7 spiked strawberry lemonades. It was fantastic.
It's the place where every red-blooded American goes for genuine Italian cuisine.
Yeah.
The Olive Garden.
Yeah, it was pretty legit. Sat there at the bar with the family, watched Ohio State Northwestern. Very impressed with Ohio State, by the way. Phenomenal outing by those guys.
We're going to get into that. Yeah. We got a few questions we're going to run through, a little bit of a wrap to talk about with Rutgers, and then that's it. This isn't going to be an hour long. The game is less than an hour, 15, 20 minutes. Chris has got some family at the crib. We're just soaking it in. I see some people asking, why didn't you guys travel? We talked about it this week. It was just a pro and con game, really, when you look back and forth at, all right, originally it was like the discussion was, do we take Rosie out on the road and hit New Jersey? And we kind of said, we're a little snake bitten. We're a little freaked out. We think she's good, fixed, ready to roll. We just do not want to have that happen again where we've got to tow her and get her. We're a little gun shy. I'm not going to lie. We're a little gun shy at this point.
A little bit till we can get her in for a full 81-point check diagnostic and just make sure it's all good to go. I don't know if it's 81 points, but all the points that need to be checked and diagnosed. We need to get her in there and just make sure before we get her on a trip halfway across the country again.
Yeah. So there was that. And then we're like, all right, no Rosie. Well, we could still go, right? We could catch a few plane tickets. So we could get in a car and drive. It's a long drive, but we could do it. And then we just kind of said, you know what? Michigan's favored by 26. We could probably do the same amount of coverage from the house as we could from the game. And maybe more, honestly, because Chris is.
I could go to Olive Garden.
Go to Olive Garden day of the game. I mean, you said it, dude. You said today already, you're just like, wow, I've had time to think. I've had time to do this.
Listen,
I'm going to be able to write a story after the game. I'm not going to have to edit a billion pictures.
There's no doubt about, and we talked about this before. When you do this job, covering a team the way that we do, you definitely lose. There is an element to just being a fan and sitting back and watching a full day of college football. Yeah. And I haven't done that all year. So obviously got to watch, Northwestern, Ohio State, a little bit of Michigan State, Illinois, which I think was starting to propel me into a nap. I turned it on to Georgia, Tennessee to try to wake myself up. By that time, the lasagna and Super Toscana and strawberry spiked lemonade really started to take its toll. And your boy went into standby mode a little bit. Caught a couple of Z's.
Standby for just a little bit. Well, let's kick it off there, Chris. Like I said, we're not going to be on here for a long, long time, and we're not going to do all Michigan, all Rutgers, but that's what we'll focus on towards the end. But we've mentioned it a couple times now. Ohio State, Northwestern. I tweeted it out maybe partway through the second quarter. Maybe it was even after halftime. I don't remember. I was like, Ohio State is softer than baby shit. They are not a hard-nosed physical team. Dude, I have never heard announcers talk about the wind and the weather more in my life when it comes to something like a Heisman campaign and the rankings for a team. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Are you not Ohio State with multiple 300-pounders up front and 4 and 5 stars all over the place? Run the ball. Dominate that other team that's 1-7. Dude, do you realize that Northwestern hasn't won a game in the United States this year? The only game
I understand that.
Ireland. Yeah. Terrible. They looked awful. And so
I don't really understand. I saw a lot of talk about that, and everybody was just harping on the win. It's like, well, Northwestern's playing in the same conditions. And matter of fact, if you go down and you look at the stats from that game, I mean, in total yards, Ohio State 283, Northwestern 285. If you look at passing yards, Ohio State 76, Northwestern 79. If you go down to rushing yards, Ohio State 207, Northwestern 206. Across the board, Northwestern played toe-to-toe with Ohio State in the same conditions, so I don't want to hear shit about the wind. And I just got to say, you know, I said this yesterday that I thought it might start off close, but by the end of it, Ohio State would do what Ohio State does. That didn't really happen.
No.
But Fitzgerald and this Wildcat, it felt to me like as soon as they got a little bit of an edge, he just went flat out conservative. We're going to run this Wildcat and we're going to try to get out of here with like a 7-0 or a 10-7 type game. And I put a lot of that on him, man. I think Northwestern had an opportunity to really do something special today, and they went, you know, the game plan was just questionable at best as it went on.
Fun fact, Northwestern quarterback Brendan Sullivan started his career out at none other than New Lothrop, baby. My buddy Nick Hennigy taught Brendan Sullivan. Everybody remembers Nick Hennigy. He did our pregame show for the Penn State game. He taught him in 5th and 6th grade at New Lothrop before he moved on to Davison. So I did not know that. I thought that was pretty cool. I remember he was at Davison. Pretty productive quarterback. Got a little bit of a look from Michigan when he was in high school, but I don't.
What the hell's that got to do with the Wildcat offense? Is that what he runs? Is that his deal?
No, this is what I was going to say about that. That kid's an athlete. He's a big body. He was running the ball well. I tweeted it. I'm like, just leave the quarterback in. It's 100% run. When you take him out and put the Wildcat in there, and Ohio State was teeing off on it, it never got more than a yard or two.
Yeah,
I just was like, leave the quarterback in, let him run the ball. And then now Ohio State, you can do the same personnel. Run your 13 personnel, extra tight end, extra offensive lineman, 2 extra tight ends. Let the quarterback stay in there. Now Ohio State doesn't know if it's 100% a run. I mean, it's a very heavy formation. It's probably a run, but at least the threat of throwing the ball is back there. And yeah, I'm with you. It was close, and they just squandered it away. I mean,
it really goes back to what I said earlier in the year when we were doing one of these shows, is that there was a point in time, you know, in the recent past where I viewed Ohio State as like this juggernaut, unbeatable, just far superior athletes across the board. I don't see them that way. I'm not all that impressed with CJ Stroud. Now, I get he can go out and put up big numbers, and I get this team can look electric at times, but I also think they're soft. And I think the way that Michigan is built, you know, if you have a team that gets on the field with them and wants to pound it down their throat and is physical, I don't know that Ohio State really has the ability to respond just based on how flustered they can be. I mean, look, if it's an icky tummy, cut CJ Stroud out. If it's windy, I mean, they look like shit. Like, it doesn't take much to throw this team off. And so all of the excuses I saw on social media, I saw somebody claiming there were 75-mile-an-hour winds in Evanston. And I'm like, well, okay, did it maybe gust once off of Lake Michigan, like close to that? Yes, but this wasn't sustained hurricane force winds that we're talking about down in the field. And oh, by the way, Northwestern was facing the same conditions. So just stop. I mean, if this is the number 2 team in the country and you're that dominant, you go to your run game and you dominate as well. And it became very apparent that Ohio State is pretty one-dimensional.
They couldn't do it. They could not do it. There's no question. Yeah, the wind. Okay, I guess just pack it in then if it's not beautiful and sunny out for a team like that. And you know, Evan Hall, very under-recruited guy, not as good of a back as Blake Corum. No shade to Evan Hall, but that dude went for $122 and a touchdown against Ohio State. Like, that team is vulnerable, and Michigan is the kind of team that's got the formula and got the equation to really take it to them and make it really, really hard on them, just like we saw last year in Ann Arbor. It's different. It's a different animal in Columbus on the road in college football. I get it, but I'm with you, man. That team looks beyond beatable at this point. I mean, if you put the right things in place against a team like that, they'll fold like laundry, dude. I mean, we saw it today against it. I mean, Northwestern doesn't have remotely close to the amount of talent that Ohio State has, and they were hanging with them all day long. So anyway, moving on from that, Michigan State, Illinois, going at it right now. 2 minutes and some change left. Illinois with the ball, down 8. Quarterback just got sacked. I'm watching it online on my phone, so it might actually be a little bit ahead of that. But anyway, kind of looks like Michigan State's going to hold on. They're up 8 with around 2.5 to go.
Yep.
So my thought there is that, and this is in Illinois, obviously Illinois riding high, being ranked number 16. They got all this momentum going on. Bielema's got them rolling. I think Michigan's going to kick their ass. Like, that's what I saw today, watching them play against Michigan State. You know, Illinois is supposed to have this dominant run defense, dominant run offense. I didn't see it, not against Michigan State. And like we said before, Michigan handled Michigan State, just didn't score in the red zone. That was the only thing making that game look remotely close. So I don't know, man. I saw a lot out of Michigan's, final two bigger opponents, I guess, in these last 4 games, Illinois and Ohio State. I don't know. I think Michigan looks better than both of them by quite a bit at this point.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And we talked about Illinois a little bit and what type of threat that they were going to pose. And I don't know how much today against Michigan State was going to sway me one way or another. I just think I thought Michigan was always going to dominate in that game just because, Illinois is good. They're having a solid year, but the way that the Wolverines are built and the way that they can, control time of possession and they can dictate the terms of the game. I just think until they get to that final game in Columbus, I don't know that anybody's going to give them much of a fight at all.
Yeah.
Sort of watching Ohio State today, watching a little. Now, look, here's what I did come away with. There's no doubt to me that Georgia is the number 1 team in the country. They look good. If Tennessee's the number 1 team in the country, Georgia's doing pretty much what I thought they were going to do when Tennessee went in there, which was just kind of slap them around a little bit. Their offense is explosive. Their defense is playing really, really good today. I know it's not as good as it was last year, but to me, Georgia looks like the number 1 team in the country. And it really is just a matter of now getting to Ohio State and making sure you can get through these next 3 games unscathed. Because as the Buckeyes showed, a W is a W is a W. And they could have easily lost that game today had things gone a little bit different. But you escape with the W, and Michigan's got to do the same.
Yeah. That Georgia's been impressive, man. They
look good.
They got dudes, man. They got so many dudes.
Stetson Bennett has got a little bit of swag to him. Just a little bit of swag, a little drip. I saw it kind of take off after they won the Natty. He had the grill, I think it was.
I was gonna say, so after they won, it might have been like media day this year. He came in, he had like a fade that he didn't have before.
He went all in. He went all in. Had a chain, I think.
His teammates of a of the more melanated persuasion, we will say, started calling him like Staquavius Bennett and all. It was so funny, man.
Dude won a Natty and then went and got a fade, bought a chain, and is out there just dripping.
Yeah, he was like a new guy, but that dude, he's a baller, man. He's a gamer. Yeah. He makes plays. Former walk-on. I mean, he
veteran, smart. I mean,
good deep ball. He's athletic. He does a little bit of everything, man. And they're a pretty complete team, and they looked really good. I don't think that game's over yet, but they were handling Tennessee pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's over.
Yeah. So anyway, I think for everybody who gets to watch games like this every weekend, it's just another Saturday. But I enjoyed it. Chris and I both get to sit down and watch Ohio State from start to finish. Watch Michigan State against another team from start to finish. Watch a big game like Tennessee, Georgia from start to finish, and take a little bit away from that as we see Michigan sitting at number 5, probably going to move up maybe a spot. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I can tell you that the folks in Columbus, as soon as that game was over, were all rushing to the internet, assuming that they had it, rushing to the internet to check that extended weather forecast and make sure that things will be just right. I even saw somebody suggesting that this is why the big game should be played indoors so that weather can't be affected. I mean, that's how soft some of the takes were. Wow. That this is unfair. This is unfair to Ohio State. This is why it should be played indoors, because this is the type of thing that can happen to a really good team. Like, what are we talking about?
You know what I have to say to that? The way Michigan plays works in early September and late November. So let's get it. Let's line it up and get after it.
You've made your bed, Ryan Day.
Right. That's right. All right, let's shift over to the Michigan game now, dude. We're got what are we at? 40 minutes until kickoff, give or take. So we'll be out of here in just a little bit.
So jacked to watch these guys play on football, by the way, or play on TV. I really feel like, if this is my first game, I'm going to get to watch on TV, and I'm pretty excited.
I get a little taste of it in the box because obviously the TVs are up there, but when you're sitting in the box watching the game down on the field, you don't really look at the TVs, but I'm with you, man. It's a different feel when you're watching it from the beginning and to the end.
No doubt.
On the TV, you get the replays, you get the zoom ins, I don't even hear what's said. during the entire broadcast every week. I have no idea what the announcers have said, what kind of storylines they're talking about. So yeah, there's a little bit of that we'll get to dive into today. But Chris, I wanted to ask you this. We talked about a lot of stuff on Monday, even more stuff on Wednesday with the fan-led questions. How does Michigan, I don't know if how is the right question, but how does Michigan play its A+ game? What does an A+ game for Michigan look like tonight? What are some things that non-negotiable, and what are some things that will be like, all right, this team is unlike Ohio State, unlike Michigan State, unlike Tennessee, firing on all cylinders? What does that look like for Michigan?
I think an A+ game is everything they've been doing to this point, plus way more efficiency in the red zone in terms of scoring touchdowns. If they can add that element, if they can not stall out in the red zone, if they can show a little bit more creativity, if they can show that they've got just a little bit of explosiveness through the air. You don't have to have a lot, because I do believe that the style of play we talked about, the time of possession, being able to dominate the ball with Blake Corum, I think that's how they're going to win in Columbus. But if you can just show that other stuff, week 9, is there and you can use it, it gives other people things to think about. And you're starting to run out of opportunities where if you need to lean on it, you have some time to work on it, and you make sure that it works the right way. And so, we've talked about it all year. We thought week 1 through 3 would be a great opportunity, and it didn't really happen. And as the weeks went on, it became very apparent what Michigan's goal was going to be. And so I've come around to accepting it and the way that they play football. But I still think you've got to be better in the red zone, and you've still got to show that if push comes to shove, you can move the ball through the air and you can connect on deep passes. And we really haven't seen a lot of that. So to me, that's an A+ game. Everything we've seen so far, be better in the red zone and connect on 1 or 2 deep balls.
That sounds pretty good. I see some people saying, 0 or 1 field goal, which kind of goes hand in hand with the red zone efficiency. I would say I'm cool with some field goals. I don't want 21-yard field goals. If you stall out or you get a hold or something, whatever, you're not going to score a touchdown on every single drive. Let's have these field goals be a little longer, 35, 40 yards out. So it's not like, God, Michigan was right there. Punch that in. Yes. Less action for the kickers. Moody and Robbins is always a good thing, but they're really good, so you can lean on them when you need to. But I'm with you, dude. Some better creativity, some more. I want to do that a few times in the red zone. Like, look at that play. Like, I want to see that tonight. Punch it in the end zone, 6 points, not 3, and keep it rolling that way. And that would, like you said, I mean, they're 8-0. They're dominating teams physically. They're running the ball at will. They've really had a close game all year. 1 single-digit win of the 8. Yeah, keep that up. Keep playing clean. Take care of the ball. No penalties, and maybe a little more creativity, a little more efficiency, and a lot more touchdowns when you get a chance. When you get in there close, don't start at the 4 and then kick a field goal from the 6. You can't do that. Not against Rutgers either.
No, you can't. And one of the things that really struck me today as I was watching all the college football, not only just the fact that I was sitting and being able to watch it and take it all in, but man, I'm not saying this as a homer. I truly feel like Michigan has a legitimate shot to win a national championship this year if they can just get a few things taken care of that are with the roster they have and with the talent they have, they can do it. So, I mean, if there is a year for them to break through, get into the college football playoff and actually win it all, this is a year to do it. There is not really that dominant team out there that just, nobody has a chance against. And I like the brand that Michigan has. I think it'll travel well. I think it'll work in the elements. Yeah. Shout out to Ryan Day, people who struggle in the elements. I think what Michigan does well works anywhere. So I just think they need to improve on a couple of things, and they are complete both sides of the ball. If you get the red zone taken care of and you get a little more creative through the air, they'll be all right.
Defense travels, and Michigan's got both for sure. Defense, it's not perfect. It's not like, I wouldn't say, God, that defense is so dominant, but they're really good, and they make adjustments well, and they really clamp it down in the second half. Those are all signs of a very, very solid defense. Again, I wouldn't call them dominant, not one of the best in the country, but in the discussion of like a very, very strong, low tier 1, high tier 2 kind of defense. And certainly the running game is as good as anybody's. It's up there with any team in the country. So I wanted to throw some numbers at you, dude, about Rutgers real quick, and then we'll talk about them. I mean, I don't expect you to be an expert on Rutgers. I did some research today.
I know everything about Rutgers.
Yeah, I don't know that much about them. But I did pull some numbers just to give you a basic idea of kind of what they do and what they're good at. So this is kind of what I've come up with. They're not good on offense, like really at any part of it. Their best ranking is they're 67th in the country in rushing offense. They rush for about 150 yards a game. They can't throw the ball at all. And overall scoring, they only score 20 points a game. That's 113th in the country. This is not an explosive offensive team. On the flip side, they're decent on defense. Their defense actually is not bad. They're top 20 against the pass. They're top 20 against the run. They dip a little bit in giving up points. They're number 43 in the country, giving up 22.5 points per game. So when you hear, okay, their offense is not good, their defense is better than their offense, but still not dominant. They're not shutting anybody out. They're giving up over 20 points a game. The strongest thing they have going for them is their rush defense. They give up about 108 yards a game. We know Michigan wants to run it. They're probably going to shoot for twice as much as 108 yards. Is there a path, knowing all those numbers I just threw at you, is there a path for Rutgers to be competitive and even pull off a monstrous upset as a 25.5-point underdog in this game?
No, I mean, this is also the same team that beat Iowa 9-6 at home, in a primetime game. So they're not good. They're not good. If you go across the board, position by position, Michigan has the advantage everywhere. The only way that Michigan loses this game is if Michigan royally screws up.
I think you're thinking of a different team. They lost to Iowa 27-10 at home.
To Iowa? Wait a minute.
Yeah, they just got drilled by Minnesota 31-0.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at Illinois' football schedule. That's right, because we were talking about Illinois. So same concept though. That's why I wasn't surprised what happened with Illinois against Michigan State either. Another team that, people were starting to fear. They were high in the rankings, and then you look at their schedule and it's like, well, there's not. There's some things on there that aren't very impressive. But yeah, Rutgers the same deal. I don't see a pathway to victory for them unless Michigan goes out and they're sloppy with the ball and they have a huge hangover from what happened last weekend. And, I don't know, they're going to be down some guys. I don't think it's going to be enough to make much of a difference, but I know that they're going to be out some players.
So Rutgers has 4 wins on the season, Chris. They beat Boston College by 1. Boston College just lost to UConn, by the way. They are trash. They beat Wagner, solid win. They beat Temple by 2, and they beat Indiana a couple weeks ago in Piscataway. That's it. That's their 4 wins. They got drilled by Ohio State. They got drilled by Iowa. They lost to Nebraska, and they got absolutely pummeled by Minnesota last week, 31-0.
That's what it was.
This is not a good team. This is not a good team. Michigan's favored by 25.5, 26. I didn't pick them to cover. I'm kind of thinking now that I should have. I mean, when Minnesota.
See, when you said that on the show Friday night, I was a little bit surprised.
I just feel like and then the injury stuff. I mean, it sounds like Michigan is kind of already taking their foot off the gas, and the game hasn't even started. That was my thought process. I still think they're going to win handily. I picked them to win by 3 touchdowns. That's not exactly squeaking by a team, but that is a big spread. So that's what I would say. I think Michigan's going to roll them. It's at their house. I don't think it cares. I think Blake Corum has a big day. We talked about that yesterday on the predictions. And this is what I want to finish with, Chris. Your boy, known DGen, 7-leg parlay for the Michigan game. Do you want to shoot some of these down? You want to hear them?
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Please shoot any of these down. And if you think, and this is like a cousin of you're dumb, you're smart, I guess. Right? You can call it like
the lazy relative of you're dumb, you're smart.
You put money on that, you're an idiot. Maybe you just call me an idiot instead of dumb or smart. Here we go. Michigan money line. That's in the bank, right?
Yep, in the bank.
Blake Corum, anytime touchdown scorer.
Yes, money.
Blake Corum, 125 plus yards.
Money.
Donovan Edwards, anytime touchdown scorer.
That might cost you a little bit.
All right.
That might cost you.
Okay.
That's one of those where it doesn't, in my soul, doesn't give me a ton of confidence.
Okay. JJ McCarthy, 200 yards passing. Good God, dude. 200 yards? Come on.
I would love to. You know what? Yeah, that's Smart money, although the numbers I'm not really sure give me a ton of confidence. But sure, yeah, let's go smart money.
I put the money up for it. Ronnie Bell, 40 yards receiving.
Smart money.
You thought he was catching 14 balls or something.
6. No, that's Andrew Anthony that's getting 14 receptions tonight, homie. Andrew Anthony, 14 receptions for 305 yards. Book it, mark it. It's happening.
I got to take a dump on live if he does that. That's right. That's right.
Dude, as soon as we got off the live, I put in a call to Harbaugh, and I was like, Brandon is going to take a dump on the live if Andrew gets 14 receptions. He was like, Chris, say no more, fam. I got you. It's happening.
I'll be so happy to put myself through that. And last but not least, Luke Schoonmaker, a measly 25 yards receiving. That's it.
Yeah, smart money. Smart money.
Don't
the only one on
there
that, the only thing that makes me the JJ McCarthy over 200 passing yards and the Donovan Edwards anytime touchdown. I'm not too sure about that. Obviously, as you know me, would love to see it. Would love to see it happen.
Couple touchdowns by the backs. A moderate day from the quarterback. A couple guys catching some balls.
Scared money
don't make
money.
money. That's it. That's it, Cody. And then Michigan to win the game. I didn't mess with the spread, but Michigan to get a straight-up win. Yeah, that's all day. This is a big payout if your boy hits it. I just want to say it's plus 837 in the odds. That's a big day.
Well,
so that's what I'm going to be watching for.
Vegas knows.
Back to the couch. Stay awake for the game. It's going to be a good one.
There's like my physical imprint on the couch where I've just been laying all afternoon, just soaking it in, man.
It's like the cartoon, like Homer Simpson gets up and it's just like it's contoured to his
exactly
body.
Like that.
Nice.
Yep.
Any more spiked lemonades or breadsticks?
No. I think I had enough vodka during lunch and passed out and woke up with like a mini hangover. So this is like my second day. Like I'm getting 2 days in one. I'm getting a chance to restart and refresh.
See, that's the way to think about it.
There you go.
Fill your belly, pass out. Day number 2. I just created a 48-hour day.
Let's party.
All right. Hope everybody enjoys watching the game. Chris will be firing stuff off on Facebook. I'll be on Twitter. We'll be doing that whole thing. And then we're coming back. We're coming back after the game to do another little round table, little post-game show. Probably another shorty. I mean, it's going to be late. Chris has got the fam there. We're all doing our thing. But we will be back as soon as that game goes final. We'll both have a story up immediately over on Wolverine Digest. Check it all out. We'll see you back here in about, what do we say, about 4 hours?
About 4 hours. Yeah.
4 hours. Enjoy the game, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate you.